Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where I told you yesterday when I brought you the Wii Beacon, I was bringing the Civivi Synergy to you on Saturday, and here it is, guys. This is the newest knife from the Civivi lineup, the Civivi Synergy3, and got a lot of things to say about it. Before I start talking about it, though, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. And I also have to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by White Mountain Knives. Check them out for all of your knife and EDC needs. Use this code right here, WSW10, and save 10% on anything you buy from White Mountain Knives. Great retailer to do business with, top-notch customer service. They ship on time. Everything from White Mountain is done with the utmost care, and they're just great guys to give your business to. So look them up. This knife is going to be linked below to purchase from White Mountain Knives, and use that code, save some money, and get yourself a pretty good knife, because I've got some nice things to say about this knife. And a very surprising thing, as we get through this review, you're going to be very shocked at something I have to say about this knife. But first, let's get into some overall specs. We have an overall length of 7.7 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.27 inches and a cutting edge right at 3 inches. You know what? No, let me reverse that. I mixed my numbers up. So we have about a 3-inch blade length in total with a 3.27 inch cutting length. Let me just get the ruler here and make sure that that's right, because I may have messed that up. I was writing this review late one night, so I don't want to give you guys something that's not true. Okay, so let's fix that here. We have a blade length coming in at 3.25 inches. And with that cutting edge, with that belly, you're probably going to be looking more at like 3.35 inches of actual cutting length. So my bad there, but I don't mind correcting myself during a recording to make sure you guys get the right information. So there you go. Definitely bigger than 3 inches. That's very important for some people based on your knife laws within your respective state. So there you go. We have a blade width coming in at 960 thousandths with a blade thickness coming in at 120 thousandths, and a very nice kind of a little bit of a crown spine there, which is always very nice to see, especially with this design. Very unique design. Blade material of Nitro V with a trailing point style blade. The blade grind on this, the specs said they were hollow, but they really feel flat to me, and they don't look hollow. They kind of look hollow, just a little. If it is hollow, it's the flattest hollow grind I've ever felt. We'll put it that way. We have a handle length coming in at 4.46 inches with a handle thickness at 520 thousandths with a handle width at 1 inch at the widest point. A handle material of G10 with a liner lock, a user of a right hand only. Tip-up carry. Very not something you see much on Civivis. Normally they are right or left. This is a righty only tip-up carry with a weight of 3.5 ounces and a price of $93.50. So definitely one of the more expensive baseline Civivi models. But I don't have much of an issue with that. This price for the materials and feel and action and steel, not the end of the world. $93.50 is pretty reasonable. Let's get into some size comparisons here. This is kind of a hard knife to come up with anything else that really kind of matches the actual aesthetics and design of this knife. But I have some here that we can pull up and take a look at that'll at least help you get an idea. We have our QSP Hawk, and then we also have our Civivi Elementum, just because everybody knows what a Civivi Elementum is and how long it is. Always a good sizing reference. As you can see, considerably bigger there. And here I've got one other knife. Didn't pull my knives out for this one. What is wrong with me? I'm losing it. We have the CJRB Feldspar. This is the large Feldspar, which gives you a pretty good idea there. So I think that should help everybody in terms of just what we're looking at here. And let's get into this knife, because this is, again, this is one of the more unique Civivis, because this is based off of a very popular, extremely high-end design. The original design of this goes back years. I don't even know. It may be over 10 years now. It was, in all honesty, it was before I really got into knives, is when the Synergy originally came out, and it was designed as an integral. So this handle was all one piece. There was no opening here. It was all one milled piece of, I believe, titanium. Might have been stainless steel that far back in the day, but nonetheless, it was an integral handle. Very cutting edge technology for the time, for that time in the knife industry. The first of its kind, and it was a massively talked about and just a very, very big kind of innovative time in the knife industry when this design came out. Now, since then, WE has made a couple different versions of it, which was also an integral, and it was very expensive. It was, to be honest, I don't even know the price because I never bought it, never handled it, but it was up there. It was, I want to say it was like $400 or $500. It was expensive. And what they did was they took a very premium design, a very light design, and they brought it into a budget line, which I really like. I can really appreciate that from Civivi. I'm glad they did this because they did a very good job of executing it. They very really stayed true to the design and just added some budget aspects to it. But the blade in general, it's a really rather attractive trailing point. And I don't say that a lot for trailing points because I don't usually like it when the tip is that far back from the pivot. It's kind of, I use the tip of a knife a lot. And when I want to go reach in for something, it's kind of hard to do with it that far back. But this choilish area, which again, very similar to the Civivi Elementum choil, it puts the knife in a position in your hand to where when I go to use the tip, it's a lot more, it's more forward than one would think, especially when you're just holding it up. The spine really swoops forward, and it kind of changes the way this knife, it uses a lot differently than how it looks, if that makes sense. So I am a fan of that. I also really love the swedge on this knife. It adds a really good amount of character, and aesthetically, it works perfectly. I can't imagine this knife being like a full flat grind or something. It would just look very goofy to me. So that swedge adds a lot of just well-received aesthetics to it. And going into the handle and ergos, this is where things get very good. And I have some normally not, how do I put this? Normally I have some not so good things to say about certain parts of a Civivi handle, but I'm going to start with those parts. I'm going to start with this right here. You guys probably knew I was going to bring it up. Look at this. Look at the Civivi pivot blacked out, and look how well it looks. They did a phenomenal job of putting this kind of the Doppler radar or just the swirl pattern coming from the Civivi logo out to the handle. And it does two things. One, it looks great, but more importantly, it's functional grip. It adds an extremely great amount of grip to this knife. You feel the grooves and the swirls, and it works so well when you have this knife in hand. You get an excellent feel in hand. Ergos overall are extremely good. Big fan of these ergos. Love using this choil. I'd probably always use this choil if I was to carry this knife. It would always be just like this. That tip is up for good use. You can still power through some good cuts with that belly edge. And the way the trailing point comes down on longer slicing cuts, it extends your cut with that trailing point. So very nice aspect of a blade design right there. And then the real shocker, get ready, hold on to your butts. I like this clip on this knife. This is your regular Civivi pocket clip, and I'm a big fan of it on this knife. A couple reasons. One, it's a wider handle, it's a contoured handle, so you don't really feel the clip that much at all. This is the best, ergonomically, the best knife to put this clip on that I've come across so far. It feels really good in hand, and it actually looks good because what you have, it's kind of a wavy clip. It's bent. It has waves and roundy lines all over it, and it works really well with the design of the handle and the knife. And there's wavy lines all over this knife. It's a very attractive knife. It has a lot of lines going everywhere, and I just think this clip works really well with that design when you look at it as a whole. I have no issue with this clip on this knife. And finally, I'm happy I can say that because I'm not just trying to pick apart a knife and purposely find things that I don't like. I want to be completely honest about my reviews. And this is one of the first knives, definitely the best Civivi I've come across utilizing this clip. Moving forward, and it just goes to show that this is not a trash clip. It's only a trash clip if it's put on a knife that doesn't belong on. And we and Civivi, both companies, both brands, have made some very bad decisions lately using this clip, but I'm happy to say that this is a very good decision, and they recessed the clip on it. Wish they could have done that on the Wii Beacon, on the $200 knife, but no, this looks great. It's excellent. I have no issue with that. I really wish Civivi would just come up. It's not that hard. I'm sure the reason they do that is to save on labor time of making different clips all the time, and save on costs of having a bunch of different clips made and not using them all and having some loss in materials. But all they need to do is just come up with 3 different clip designs. Come up with a standard milled clip, come up with a standard deep carry bent clip, maybe come up with a third one that's somewhere in between. I don't know, something. And then you have a selection of clips to use on knives. And I think that would really help them moving forward. I think it would be very much appreciated by the end users, by the knife community that are buying their knives. It would be a very, very nice move, very smart move, instead of using the same clip on every knife. But luckily in this case, this clip works fantastically well with this knife. I have no issue with it whatsoever. Really no issue with the handle at all whatsoever. You would think the liner lock would be hard to access. It's not. It's very easy to access this lock, and the blade does shake shut. You have to shake a little more than normal than you would on other Civivis, but I have no issues. It's still very smooth on the close. It just, maybe if nothing else, maybe it needs a little more lube. The lube may have dried up while it was sitting in its box, but it shakes shut easy enough for me to where I have no issues with it. Going into this action, I already touched on the closing action. Let's talk about deployment. It's amazing. One of the better flippers Civivi's ever come out with, in my opinion, in terms of just action. The actual flipper itself is designed perfectly to where when you push it, it's at kind of that perfect angle to where you don't have to flip it or push it too hard. Just a nice effortless flip, whips the blade out. Very smooth, and it's kind of fun to watch this blade come out with the curvature in the handle. It kind of makes the blade look bigger than it is, because you just don't expect that much blade to be coming out of the handle, I guess. They definitely maximize the blade to handle ratio, and if you look down at the bottom, you can see that tip coming just about all the way down. I mean, you have the backspacer kind of stopping it, but again, very nice ratio there of blade to handle, and just a fantastic action that's very smooth and is just good. All in all, overall thoughts on this guy are a lot better than I thought they'd be. I wasn't expecting to dislike this knife. In all honesty, I thought this was kind of going to be a kind of it's okay for me. I'd recommend it, but it's not really for me type thing. This is a knife that I kind of think might be for me. I like it. I like it a lot. It was a nice surprise for me, we'll put it that way, especially when I saw the blacked out pivot, and as much as I like this clip with the handle and just the solidity, the overall feel and hand of this knife is very solid. It's a thicker handle. There's absolutely no flex on even your average size handle, no flex whatsoever, and just a very nice solid build from Civivi. So going back to that price tag, when you factor in the overall build and how solid this knife is, with the phenomenal action, with the very nice materials in Nitro V steel, and I like it. I just like it. I have no problem with it. It's a Civivi I would recommend all day. I think a lot of people may not like the trailing point style blade, but again, don't discredit it, because the way that these ergos work, it really moves that tip forward, so it makes it a lot easier to utilize that tip. I like this knife a lot. I love the fact that Civivi brought a premium design. It's been known as one of the more highly regarded designs, more innovative designs, and it's always been expensive. They took it and they threw it in their budget lineup, and I like that a whole lot. I hope they do it more. I want to see more of that. Let me know, guys, what Wii model do you want brought down to the Civivi lineup? That could be some very good information for Civivi and Wii to hear, because maybe it'll give them some ideas. Me, personally, I would love to see the Zeta. Zeta. It was designed by Elijah Isham a few years ago, actually probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Killer design. I would love to see that design brought to the Civivi lineup. Oh, that would be amazing. I would think Elijah would probably be behind that himself as well, but let me know what you guys think. I want the Zeta. What do you want brought down from the Wii lineup to the Civivi lineup? I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of this knife. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.